Hello, everyone. Good morning. It's Tuesday morning. That means it's Notes of the Week here on Sick of This Shit Publications. I'm Nick Paro, not your dad, joined by my good friend Walter Rhein, our level 36 magic user. And our special guest today is someone you all probably really know and have seen a lot of her work. She does a lot of really incredible stuff on here. And we're so excited to have her because I've spoken with Jenn before, is Jenn Budd. She's an author. She's a former Border Patrol agent. She's an expert on the Border Patrol and the culture and what goes on in the community. And she is an incredible writer and very informative with her writing and really, really powerful. Welcome, Jenn. How are you today? And can you introduce yourself a little bit outside of what I just said about you? Introduce yourself to the audience so they know who you are.
Hello everybody. It's good to see everybody again. Yeah, I served in the US Border Patrol for only 6 years, but I got to the highest rank you can get before you enter into management. Did a little bit into management, and I had a college education before I went into the Border Patrol, so I had a different kind of view of it as I went into it. And
Boy.
over the years, it kind of sat with me and ate away with me, ate away with my feelings about it, and I decided to do something about it. And this is the result of all of that. So yeah. And I'm the mom of 2 little chihuahuas. I will say that.
Oh,
Oh, love that. Love
Yeah.
that. And I'm glad you're with us. And I know you have gone through some really serious shit as when you were in Border Patrol. And you have talked a lot about like the culture, the rape culture, the Christian nationalist culture, the hate culture that is in there. Can you this conversation today is going to be probably a lot about ICE and CBP and what's going on in the world in the U.S. and what we can do about it. In fact, Jenn's note is going to be a great one we're going to talk about today. And as usual, we will be featuring artwork again, as always. We always do because the artwork's awesome and we love to. We've got some really incredible stuff today. Nothing from actually my submission is not my kid, but it's actually Steph Wilson today because she has a piece of art and that's amazing. But we're going to be talking about a lot of stuff. There's been some major things that have gone on in the world. We have seen the start of CBP at airports and then never going away from that, or ICE at airports and they're never going to leave that. We're starting to see ICE outside of military graduations, and they're never going to leave that. And so, can you talk about like your experiences? Maybe not your experiences. Let's talk about what we can do about it because you've talked a lot. You wanted to talk about before the show. We were talking a little bit, and I want you to revisit what we were talking about around like what you're doing now, what you're sort of transforming towards, and where you want to go with what you've been doing for your work.
Well, I have my memoir out, and then in a couple of weeks, I think my ebook on ICE, it's a primer on ICE, called ICE, What Everyone Needs to Know, is going to be coming out. If it does well, then we'll put it out in print, but it's basically like less than 100 pages, like I think maybe 40 to 60 pages, just on the basics of ICE. And so what I've realized in doing this, now that I see a lot of questions from people because people are suddenly interested in it, I see how many people just don't know the basics. And so as I got into that and describing that and watching what we see with the Epstein case and the rape culture of that and all the corruption, it's like, why am I trying? I think it's important to expose like the corruption and the individual agents, and I've done that over this last decade and proven that. And now I want to go more into policy and how to change that, because just sitting here talking about all these horrible things these agents do over time honestly ends up being trauma porn at some point. What am I going to do with all this knowledge? What am I going to do with all this information? And so where I want to start going with this is start offering ideas in my writing, in my essays of where we need to go with this and how we can change this. Because one of the horrible things that we have right now is just all this trauma that's being done upon us. But at the same time, you and I were saying we've never seen people so interested in these agencies. And I haven't seen it in 30 years. We also have an opportunity to change because he's destroying this, and it's very scary and it's very dramatic. It's also an opportunity to create something that we want. We have to figure out what that is, and we have to be able to talk about that. And the other thing, like as far as the rape culture, I recently just did a piece on an individual agent showing how the courts and the judges allow these perpetrators of child pornography and sexual assault to get away with this over and over. And I thought, what good does it do to keep saying what they're doing if I'm not going to try and change the system? And what I've discovered is the federal government has pretty much made it impossible to be charged with their employees or be held accountable with their employees who are committing these crimes. They've set it up so that you can't really go after the agencies for hiring these predators. And so that's my goal. That's where I'm going next.
Can you touch a little bit on how that fits into what's going on with the Alex Preddy and Renee Nicole Good murder investigations? Because we've previously spoken about how no one in the history of CBP has ever been arrested for murder while on duty. And we have two prime examples of agents murdering somebody. Well, I mean, there are other examples around the country too, but those were caught live and on TV, and people saw it, and everybody knows the truth. How does this culture and what policy are you trying to help update or change to ensure that agents who do murder are held accountable for what they do? Because right now it seems like the FBI is blocking Minnesota from investigating. Is that part of the CBP's culture or DHS's culture in general? Is that structural? How do we get rid of that?
So a lot of this I talk about in the ICE primer book as well. And so like part of the thing that I've noticed is when I talk about the past, I'm talking about obviously my time because that established my credibility. So I needed that first in my book to show that I'm a credible source for all of this and researcher and so forth. And then I know what I'm talking about. And then as I studied the killings and how, like specifically the Border Patrol and CBP and ICE have the same kind of systems, same kind of cover-up systems, just not blatantly illegal like the Border Patrol had. And so the Border Patrol cover-up teams known as critical incident teams, CITs, I had to study that first. And that led me to where I am today. And and so how that relates to the Preddy and Good investigations is that right now, as you said, we see Border Patrol, CBP, and ICE saying, well, it involves a federal agent, so we're not going to let the state or local police investigate. That actually is, if you know the history, is completely contradictory to the law and how it's been done for over 100 years down here on the southern border. Before Donald Trump even took office, even when he first took office, CBP and Border Patrol and ICE were allowing state and local investigators to investigate use of force crimes by their agents committed on duty. In fact, if we look at the very first killing of a U.S. citizen from ICE, we have to go back to Texas. I believe it was in San Antonio, and we just learned about it this last month, or this month that we're in. Found out it happened a year ago, so they've been hiding this information for a year. This was an ICE CBP Border Patrol checkpoint. The young man didn't understand the directions it looked like from the video that he was being given, and they claimed that he tried to run them over, and you see clearly from the video he did not, and they shot and killed him. Well, they kept this quiet from the public and from the press for over a year. And so in that investigation, who is investigating that? Who is ICE, CBP, and Border Patrol, who are all apparently present at this? Who did they allow to do that investigation of use of force violation? Well, they allowed the Texas Rangers. They are a Texas state police agency. Why are they okay with that and not Minnesota? It is because the southern border states down here, really on the border, are basically immigration agents. They're so pro Border Patrol. A lot of their funding is coming from Border Patrol, CBP, ICE, DHS. They cannot exist without this. They are bought and paid for by the immigration agencies. We own them. So they do what we tell them to do. And so we trust them as immigration agencies to cover up. We've taught them how to cover it up. You can see this in the Arizona cases, especially in Tucson sector, where you see Cochise County and the other counties personally working with the Border Patrol and the illegal critical incident teams to cover up these crimes. Now, when we fast forward to the Paro and Good shootings, what we saw a couple of weeks ago when Rodney Scott, the head of CBP, the commissioner of CBP, was testifying in Congress to the Senate. He was testifying and answering Senator Rand Paul's questions on the Paro and Good shootings. And he said specifically in the Paro shooting that his CBP, Office of Professional Responsibility, which is OPR, that's their internal affairs, was in charge of collecting and preserving the evidence in the Paro shooting. Who are the agents that make up the evidence collection teams in CBP OPR right now? They are the former teams, illegal teams of the cover-up teams of the critical incident teams, and everybody is just ignoring this. There's a movie out about it right now that shows that this commissioner of CBP, when he was a chief of Border Patrol, was using these teams to cover up the murder of Anastacio Hernandez Rojas and others. And so this is all just the same chain. And it just keeps continuing and continuing. And so it's the movie is extremely relevant, even though it goes back to 2010, because Rodney Scott is now the head of CBP. So they're just continuing the cover-ups. They're continuing all this other stuff. And I think, the biggest thing you asked me, so why do I want to change how I'm writing and stuff? It's because they've set the systems up. So there's a system in the federal government when you can't get criminal charges, which is what always happens down here when an immigration agent kills somebody. The victims' families end up having to go to the civil law. So they have to file torts. They have to file civil claims and ask for monetary compensation for what is done to their loved ones, because they cannot get justice through the criminal justice system. So then they go through the civil justice system. And under the federal government, that is called FTCA. That's the Federal Tort Claims Act. And under that, they started that in the 40s. So you got to think back to the 1930s and 40s. We knew at the time law was, especially civil tort law back then, was kind of becoming somewhat new, more modernized. And the question was, we already knew legally we could, if you hit me, Nick, with your car, I could sue you personally for damages. But what happens when somebody, an officer who's working on duty for the federal government, hits me? Can I sue the government? And so they said yes to certain torts, but they never really got to the torts as far as sexual assaults and battery. And in fact, you cannot sue the federal government through the FTCA without jumping through all these other hoops. So there's really no decent avenue for people to file complaints when a federal agent assaults or batters you. There's just literally nothing you can do about it. And they've let it be like that. So what we have to demand is changes in the laws and changes in the policies, or this is just going to keep going and going and going and going.
Oh, man. Yeah. I want to just say, let me just say again, I just want to start. I mean, I said it before, but I just love having you here, Jen. And it's just, I really appreciate you and all the work you're doing. You're a hero. And
Isn't it crazy? I was like, there's got to be some reason why nobody's able to win these cases. Why is it? And I started digging through it, and you pull it apart and you can see how they fixed it so that they're covered.
Yes. And what you made me think too is because we see these cases where a judge will be sitting there, he's like, well, and he'll give you that, I call it the resting white supremacy phrase, like Scott Jennings does. He's like, my hands are tied. This is the system. And then they just deflect. And that's another one, because these authoritarian systems are always designed they distract from like the atrocity. They move it to, well, I agree with you. This is horrible, but we've got this set of laws here, and this is what. So I guess what I was thinking as I was talking about this is, well, yesterday I was talking with Lisa Hamline of the Texas Democrats. I'm going to have you talk with her too. And so we've got like the Democratic Party, which is sort of like forward facing to the people, but they always just completely fail on messaging. Right. And so these things that we're talking about, messaging is really all we have. You have the fourth estate, you have journalists pushing and it doesn't feel like we have that much power, but that, the fight is all the power we have at this moment. Like this is what the truth is. And we trust in the people to do the right thing eventually by empowering them. But just where can we put pressure now? I mean, if they can do all those things, I mean, it's just visibility to this injustice, this system of corruption that exists, because they pressure us just not to talk about it which is another part of this. Well, you're being divisive, Walter. They'll say, they'll change tactics, and that happens just as much among the Democrats as the Republicans. I don't know. I guess my question is, where do you think we can be most effective in pressuring to create change, as much change as possible as we can make happen today, not waiting for primaries or midterms, but right now, what can we do?
Right now, I think the biggest thing that we should be harping on right now is getting ICE out of the airports, quite honestly. So you got to take it day by day and triage it, quite honestly. And so if I'm going to triage it today, I would say, if you have an international airport, you need to be down there, quite honestly, protesting against ICE being in there. That's the only thing that they're going to respond to. Now they're going to respond with force and stuff. So you would need a lot of people to, like what you see in the No Kings Day celebrations. The reason why you don't ever see hardly any violence. There was a little bit of violence in LA, I believe. And it's usually just police attacking protesters, is because they know they can't control that many people. There's just these Kings protest or No Kings protest are some of the safest places to be, because law enforcement knows that they can't control that many people. And so right now what they're doing, people seem to think that because ICE is telling them, we're just there to help the lines go faster. If you've noticed, they haven't done it. The lines aren't going any faster because they cannot help the lines go faster. This is an excuse to get them into the airports. Now, a lot of people say, well, ICE was always in the airports. ICE, not so much, a little bit in the airports. It's mostly CBP, and sometimes you see Border Patrol in the international airports, because they check people coming from international flights. That's normal. That's in their job description, right? Are they necessarily checking people coming from flights? They are some. They arrested a U.S. citizen and held her for quite a long time, and then dumped her in another state with her dead phone and everything. And they questioned her citizenship over and over. But what I do see them doing, as Rachel Maddow says, watch what they're doing, not what they say, right? What they are doing is they are interacting and questioning and going up to people who are arriving at the airport to take a flight somewhere, even domestic flights. This is about control of movement, and you are going to start seeing more and more of this. They are not going to leave. This is new for ICE. This is not same old airport security kind of stuff. They are controlling the movement of people. So they're going to start to be looking for people like me. They're going to be looking for distance. They're going to be looking for people they've labeled as Antifa leaders or whatever, and this and that. And they're going to be looking, eventually, they're going to come for these Democrats. Like I would say, Senator Schiff should be worried because he led the impeachment and all this other stuff. Those Congress people who actively went after Trump better be very careful, because that is what they're doing. They are controlling the movement of people and making people afraid. They're standing around the airports judging. Am I going to come after you? And this is a fear tactic. They are inducing fear, this time into the American population, into the airline industry and stuff. And it's meant to terrify us. They are building the camps. They have said they are going to do this. They are not lying. They're showing you they are going to do this. And this is where we're headed. So I think that is right now, because it's new. I think that's the place where we should be like, no, right now.
Okay, good.
I totally agree there. That like the main thing we should be harping on is movement, like restrictions of movement. Like we are a police state, and people need to admit that before we can fix it. And the only way to fix that is get them out now. So if you have an airport nearby you that's larger, go see if there are local indivisible groups or anything nearby that are trying to organize to do these types of actions, to go to the airports. It is on you and us to go do the thing. It is on us to go and stand with it and go do the thing if it is available in your area. And if it's not available in your area, see if there are places that are trying to do it and see how you can support that.
Let me add one more thing.
Yeah.
I want to point out that most of these agents that I have seen in the airports are brand new agents. They do not have officer presence. They don't act like most agents I know who've been on the force for a year or two. They look like they came right out of the academy. They're laughing. Their pants are hanging low. They look like slobs, all this other stuff. And the other thing that I noticed, and I don't know quite how to talk about it yet, is it seems like they are putting agents of color in the airports. And I think that is on purpose to show Americans that, look, we hire a lot of people of color. But when you look at Bovino's crews that are going around in the streets, the majority of those agents are white. So something's going on there. For some reason, they're specifically putting agents of color because there are a fair amount, but it's just very evident to me that somebody has consciously chosen to do that, and very young agents. And so I think it's also a matter of time when you put very junior agents into a situation like that with American citizens who at some point are going to get really mad and start saying, you can't tell me what to do. You're an immigration agent. So you're going to have confrontations like that. And you put them in an enclosed space, even though it's an airport, with those guns, with a lot of people, that is just asking for a shooting right there. That is asking for it.
I also think one of the reasons they would do it is the psychological impact of whitewashing ICE and CBP and saying, just like you said, it's the whitewashing effort to show, oh, look, we hire people of color or minorities. But if you look at them, the folks that they're hiring would fit probably into the incel and the red or black pill, the accelerationist movement field. So we need to look beyond like traditional just baseline color, because in America, Asians, for the most part, are considered white nowadays, on the most part. They're not on equal footing as European white people, because white supremacy is always going to be about European whiteness and nothing else. But they have been built in so that younger people, especially younger men who have been raised in incel culture or in these video game cultures and these video game atmospheres, because they're going to treat it like video games. Like you said, someone's going to shoot. It's going to be one of these kids, because they don't have someone senior over them going, don't. We're in an enclosed building. You're going to kill people. And they're doing it to placate Americans. So white Americans will look at it and go, oh, CBP can't be that bad. And white Americans will still sit placated across the country.
That's why they're handing out the water bottles and showing videos of that. That's also part of it too. But they're going to turn. They'll turn.
I saw those videos too. The videos of them handing out the water bottles, and also, I mean, there's the issue of there's certain agents whose faces they don't want to show yet, So I think that's to what Jen was saying. Or you're giving this, but they want to make it. They're trying to normalize the military presence in all positions. Like, oh, look at them. It's okay to have heavily armed military. They're just here to hand out water bottles.
You can tell the ones that have been out in the street beating ass because they're like,
can you?
They don't want to be seen. There's plenty of cameras at the airport.
And the other,
can you address that a little bit? Where they're not wearing masks in the airport in a lot of instances, like they're unmasked agents for the first time. Like, there's a big difference between the unmasked agents at the airports and the masked ones in the street. Can you talk maybe what you think might be inspiring that, or why that policy is that way?
Because so he's trying, like you said, they're trying to gain trust back in ICE. That's part of it. As they also mission creep into it and will slowly take, because everywhere ICE and Border Patrol and CBP go, they take over. So they're going to take over these airports even more than they already have. And we know Project 2025 said they wanted to get rid of the TSA. So that's going to be occurring. And then just airports are a fantastic way. If you look at prior authoritarian countries and stuff, the historians will tell you airports are instrumental. You have to control the airports if you want to control your population. And so I think part of the reason why they don't have a lot of the street agents in the airports is because they don't want to be identified. But also a lot of the street agents are your older agents, your BORTAC agents, which is Border Patrol SWAT team. That's where a lot of the violence comes from. That's who killed Mr. Preddy. And then, and even with ICE, you have the SRTs, which are special response teams, which is their version of, and CBP has those as well. And those are the agents that they're sending out to the streets. Those are the agents who have learned how to get away with the violence. They know the culture. They know about the cover-up teams. They know that what they can get away with and what they can't. They know in the airports, everybody's going to have their cell phones. So they're sending the very young, the very, agents without the mean officer presence. Like I said, they're sending most of those so that you think, oh, these people are really nice people. So, I mean, everything that these agencies do, you have to understand it's highly, highly calculated. They, they know, like even when we go back to Trump's first administration with child separation, when Donald Trump finally pulled back that policy that they said never existed, the Border Patrol and a lot of people were like, well, we didn't know this was going to happen. We didn't know we wouldn't be able to find the children after we separated the parents. And I knew when they said that, I said, that's a lie. They game out everything. And then we find out they did know. They knew exactly that that was a problem, and they just did not give a shit. They just do not give a shit. And so when you see them handing out water, when you see them doing community events, when you see them in your schools, which they are in our schools, like they've infiltrated our schools all the way from kindergarten to college to indoctrinate children into anti-immigrant hate rhetoric and so forth, and to see these agencies as the most honorable and this and that. When you see that, you should always be like,
Yeah.
Because that's not the ultimate goal. The ultimate goal is indoctrination. It's to gain power. It's to fill your head full of propaganda. They're up to something else. They're up to something.
Go ahead, Walter. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, Jen, because one of the things you said they know what they can get away with and they know what they can't get away with. So I'm curious what they can't get away with. If you could have some examples.
Well, they can't really get away if they get busted. Like one of the things that will for sure get you busted is having undocumented people living with you. A lot of agents end up taking undocumented women that they find attractive and taking them home with them and making them theirs. That's very common. That is seen as an ultimate sin. If you're found out to actually be the undocumented person and you're an agent, that happens all the time too. So certain things that they will not forgive, sexual assaults and things like that of migrants, even of female agents, that's okay. As long as you don't do it to the point of where they can't justify it. So if it's caught on camera and they can't justify it in some way, then they'll just kind of stand back and then you're on your own. So like the young Border Patrol agent, Isaiah Hodgson, he in the LA raids, he was in Long Beach, California, and he had been filmed beating up American citizens, beating up immigrants, and doing all sorts of horrible things. He ends up at a restaurant on the beach in Long Beach, and he's wasted, he's drunk, and he ends up somehow in the women's bathroom, and the women are like, what are you doing in here? And he pulls his gun on them. And then they call the Long Beach police. And then we have outside video because it's in a tourist area. So there's lots of cameras. Outside video of him, he has his gun in a holster in the small of his back, and you see him take it out and put it behind a palm tree because he sees the cops ahead of him. And then he walks up to the cops and he's like, hey, what's going on? And then they try and take him down and he fights with them. All that was caught on video. And so he was kind of shit out of luck. And that's why he ended up, after he went to his first arraignment, he was like, okay, the Border Patrol's not going to back me. The union's not going to protect me. I'm screwed. So they just walk away from him and they don't comment. They don't say anything about it. And the next thing you know, he ends up taking an overdose of drugs at his parents' house to kill himself. So that is how that, yeah. And so that's quite common. So you have to do something so egregious that is caught irrefutably on video and gets out ahead of the agency so that they can't do and say anything about it. And even then, you really got to keep it in the press and keep pushing and pushing. And so Isaiah's problem was that it was really in the press and they just weren't going to back him. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, so there was a question early in our chat today. And education, thank you for asking this question. I hope you're still with us right now. It was around, we have a friend in the chat, Education is a Limp, and they were asking around Palo Zampoli. Because recently there's a Seattle Times article that they just posted for us that talks about Palo Zampoli. He is a former modeling agent who worked very closely with Donald Trump, and he's named in the Epstein files multiple times. I looked him up. It's just look up Zampoli, and there's tons of examples of him in the Epstein files if you just go to the Epstein library for him. That being said, he just used ICE to arrest his immigrant girlfriend in Miami so that he could take custody of their child. Can you talk about like how, to me, that's an example where we could just like take ICE down and this DHS culture down and this type of culture? Like, is there a way that we can, what do you see in this? Is this something that is like,
I would say
do you see this as part of their, like, would this be normal operating procedures now for them?
Yeah, it is actually normal operating procedures. It's quite common for people with grudges against known undocumented people to call la migra, as we're all called. It's a general phrase. That's what people who speak Spanish call us, whether you're ICE, Border Patrol, or CBP. So as a Border Patrol agent, it's very common for neighbors to report on each other. So-and-so is taking drugs off the borders, or, and so you get a lot of this. You will get, as a very young Border Patrol agent, I've never told this story. As a very young Border Patrol agent, when I was a trainee, I had a supervisor who I talk about in the book who was like interested in me, in an inappropriate way. And he took me very far north of Interstate 8, so about 10 miles, 12 miles north of the border, onto native reservation land to pick up a woman. And we went there, and this older man walks out with a young Mexican woman, and he's grabbing her, and he hands her over to my supervisor, and he puts her in handcuffs and puts her in the back. And I didn't speak Spanish enough to understand, but basically what it came down to was she had crossed months and months ago and couldn't keep up with the group. So this guy offered for her to stay at his place and this and that. And then he ends up holding her captive and ends up making her basically his sex slave. And I said, well, shouldn't we go arrest him for that? He's like, that happens all the time. And they just call us when they're done with them. And so we went and got her, and then we ended up taking her to the port of entry and pushing her back across. This happens all the time. We saw recently some lady in a state had contracted immigrants, or a contracted company who happened to be using immigrants, or was an immigrant company, and contacted ICE right when they finished her roof because she didn't want to pay the $10,000 that she was contracted to pay. It's actually illegal to do that. But who's going to charge her with that. So this is quite common.
Yeah,
it's really fucked up.
So
This
fucked
is quite
up.
common. And when you look at the history of the Border Patrol, in my studying of the history of the Border Patrol, like especially here in California and in Texas and stuff, when we do these massive immigration raids, and especially go back to the 1950s with Operation, pardon my language, Wetback, that's the name of it. Operation Wetback was the 1950s mass deportation. Same exact things. You go onto the farmlands, you go into the companies, and anybody complaining about immigrants, and you take them and you push them back across. You break unions. You use immigration agents to break the back of unions. That's what they're going to do to TSA. So immigration agents have long been doing this kind of work, and quite honestly, it's about labor, it's about controlling women, and that's what immigration agents have predominantly been used for. I hate to say it, but it's true.
Okay, so what we're getting from this is there's common knowledge among these law enforcement agencies that there's these men along the border who just take in young girls and make them sex slaves. And I mean, what is
they would call them girlfriends. But I mean, when you look at the power dynamic that's going on,
I mean,
so
what they would call them, it's like, what is the profile of these men who are doing this? I want to know what this, I mean, and if it says that it happens all the time, are we talking about thousands and thousands of men living along the border who probably do they just buy land on the border so because they can grab girls and hold them and never be held accountable for raping them? And then what jobs do they do besides that? I mean, who do they vote
I mean,
for?
I don't think it's as organized as that, but let me be clear. Like when we look at the Epstein case, I think one of the things that kind of like transformed my thinking about this, like how I want to write about it and how I want to focus on it, and Nick and I were talking about this earlier, Walter, is that looking at the Epstein files, and I kind of look at it in a general sense because I don't have the time or the bandwidth or the emotional strength to go through all that. But because I got my own shit I got to go through with the Border Patrol and everything and all that stuff. And it occurs to me that the level of rape culture, like when you look at the Epstein class is a rape culture, the Border Patrol is a rape culture, the Catholic Church is a rape culture, the military is a rape culture. All these rape cultures exist everywhere. We have them in our schools. We have them in our churches. They are freaking everywhere. And what does that tell you? At the same time, when you look at the fact that less than 8% of people charged, men predominantly charged with sexual crimes, are ever brought to charges, even less are ever convicted. The laws, there's no way to sue federal agents for assault or battery. There's no way to sue the agency for their agents who are committing assault and battery. So what does this all say? And when I looked at the Epstein files and I realized like they're bringing in women from Eastern Europe because they wanted white children. I say women, I should say children. They're bringing girls from Eastern Europe. They're bringing girls from Canada. They're bringing them to an island and then sometimes taking them to New York City, sometimes taking them to a ranch in New Mexico, sometimes taking them to Florida. You cannot do that kind of trafficking repeatedly over all these years. All these young girls, some young boys, some maybe adults. You cannot do that without the immigration agencies being on board with that. Now, does that mean everybody in the immigration agencies is on board with that? No, but it has to be that, as we see in the Epstein files, like the managers, the people in charge at the ports in the islands that he was working on are all like, yes, sir, no problem, blah, 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 blah. These agencies are part of the problem, and yet they keep telling you that they're fighting the child trafficking. They keep telling you that they're the heroes in saving all these little children. Can you show me one child that they have saved? No. They don't. They can't show you anything. And yet their agents time and time again are arrested for child trafficking, child molestation, they're arrested for rape, and they get out with no charges. Nobody thinks it's that big of a deal, and they keep going on with their lives. There's something bigger going on. And that's
Yeah.
the culture that we have
Yes.
going on that allows all of this to keep going and going and going.
Yes.
So if they can do it at that high of a level and get away with it, and we know that they're
Yeah.
doing it at a very low level and getting away with it, and this is why we see all the laws changing around
Yeah.
women and bodily autonomy, and so
Yeah.
it's all connected. It's all connected.
Oh,
with the removal of Kristi Noem,
Yeah.
and hopefully this isn't too deep of a topic yet, but with the removal of Kristi Noem and Mark Wayne Mullen becoming our new DHS head or ICE cowboy, do you think, or do you see any difference between the two of them? Do you think Mark Wayne will be worse because he is from a more southern state that has ICE culture built in more naturally, because Oklahoma is a bit more red even than South Dakota, and is closer to the border, although it's not a border state, it borders Texas, so it assumes it's a border state. Can you talk about maybe like what are your thoughts on Mark Wayne Mullen, and what he may do to make DHS worse?
Well, I think, Noam's big problem was that she is a woman. They always, like, when he took office again and he started putting Pam Bondi in there and started putting Kristi Noem in there, I'm like, when they start putting women in there, that's bad, because they make their women do the worst things. If you look back at child separation, it was all women. The secretary of DHS was a woman. The chief of the Border Patrol for the first time was a woman. The chief who did all the preliminary tests to see what would happen was a woman. And there are not that many women in this agency. So it kind of screams like, we want you to do all the bad things. So if something goes down, then you'll get in trouble and not us. And so, but I think Noam's big problem is she just got too campy and too ridiculous. I think at the same time, she got kind of a promotion. It's not everyone was like, oh, she got fired and this and that. The stuff that she's now working on with Latin America might be even more consequential. I think Mark Wayne Mullen, he's a hack. He's a poser. He's somebody who couldn't even probably have gotten in the Border Patrol. He certainly never has served. And that says a lot, because a lot of Border Patrol agents are people who can't get into the military or regular police forces. So you see a lot of lies already coming out of Mark Wayne Mullen. I look at him like I look at a lot of men who criticize me, and it's just they're mad that they couldn't get into the Border Patrol, that they're that bad. So he's a pretender. He's a cosplayer. He likes the big hats. He likes to talk, but I think he'll do it in more of a masculine kind of way, which I think Trump will accept. And I think a lot of Americans will accept his voice instead of hers. And that's what scares me, just simply because he's a man. He is an athletic man. He looks like he's military or law enforcement, even though he's not. And so I think that we will see even more secrecy, whereas Noam, I think, like to brag about it a lot. So I think we're going to see a lot more secrecy.
And he also likes to claim stolen valor. Mark Wayne,
he's a big stolen valor, but
he's
so
stolen,
is the immigration agencies. The immigration agencies all steal military valor. So
and nobody calls them out. Nobody calls them out for it.
I was going to say, because the messaging war is so critical, and I mean, I think South Park had a big impact here with the way they were ridiculing and making when you have courage, I mean, it seems like it's frivolous, but when they make this regime look ridiculous, we get so much power. And all these things that you guys are mentioning, emphasizing the stolen valor, but the rape culture too. And what I'm finding is like the messaging war thing, because it's so hard. The mass of Americans, what they've been normalized to believe is stuff that doesn't immediately protect this rape culture, but it stops us from going on the path that would actually empower us.
Right.
And just even today, and we talked about this before, Jen, when it was like, hey, let's do the DNA database. I think you said your words were anybody who had the privilege of carrying a gun or in law enforcement, you should have to submit to a DNA database.
Yep.
And it's like, for that should be politicians too. And then we should compare it to the rape kits. You know,
Yep.
it's like, that's a pretty thing. That's a pretty strong argument we can make. So I was just talking about that on a note today. And right away, you get these people are like, hey, now you're talking about a government database. And it's just sort of like,
we
another
already
thing
do
that
it
goes-
for fingerprints.
Yes.
We already do it for fingerprints.
Absolutely.
And we have agents. I have examples of agents who have been raping their entire time as Border
Right.
Patrol agents. And had we had their DNA, we could have stopped them.
What I want to talk about there is, because people have got this binary thinking where like good is over here and bad is over here. And the reality of the world is evil is a shadowy reflection of good. And we just have to start understanding this. It's like, just expand our thinking, not linear. Evil is a shadowy reflection of good. If I use DNA to catch a rapist, that is good. And if I use it for some nefarious means to exploit and oppress people, that is bad. But we can't dismiss the tool. And it's sort of like, this is that whole nefarious network where they take away our power. We've seen that with the Democrats. Oh, you've got presidential immunity. Well, if I use that, I will be as bad as them. It's like, God damn it, use it for good. And it's like, just because a murderer uses a hammer to kill somebody doesn't mean I can't use a hammer to build a house. Right. And that's one of the really strong things, the messaging. See, this is to me the part that blows my mind. Like, the battle to stop children from getting raped starts with having this fight about how evil is a shadowy reflection of good, and we shouldn't dismiss the tools that we can use to combat evil. So take that with you what you will, but I appreciate it.
Yeah, I think that's, well, let me take that as an opportunity to put, if I've still got it here, is I showed this video yesterday. Normally, I wouldn't always show these types of videos, but I want to show this one because it's kind of important. It's the Iranian propaganda video that just came out, the Lego Iranian propaganda video that they did. I think it's kind of important that we all see it. And I will, because this touches a lot on like the culture that we need to address. And it's okay that we see it from another country giving us propaganda towards us, because we need to see what our fucking government looks like by other people, even people who hate us, especially people who hate us. And why do they hate us? And I'm going to put,
well, they hate our government, not our people. That's always the case. Yeah.
Yes. Well, I think the Iranians have been taught to hate America and Americans, ourselves as individuals, because we've taught them to. Like, we've taught them to, and
we've been taught to hate them.
Yeah. And so, we can break through that crap. Yeah. Like, I've met Iranians who, like, I know Iranians.
I know Iranians.
My music composition teacher in college was an Iranian native who studied at the University of Tehran and wrote some of the most incredible fucking music. Like, and he blended Persian music with Western music into this incredible, beautiful fusion of just creativity, this amazing sounds that you could hear. I would have never thought to do that shit. I'm better for it. Like, I'm better because I know him and I learned and saw the music that he was creating. And I think we just need to be okay with fucking admitting things like that. And part of that is, let's use some propaganda from the Iranians to showcase why creativity is kind of important in seeing ourselves from outside views. So I'm going to put a disclaimer on here. This is Iranian propaganda. So there is, just remember, this is propaganda. And so we have to be careful with it because you have to be careful.
Call it satire. Then it's fine.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, this isn't really satirical.
Okay, well, I'll watch it. I'll reserve my comments until it's
okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna hide us while it's going.
Okay.
Actually, I want to keep us on because I want to see Walter's expressions
okay.
while this is happening. Okay, so I'm gonna shut up. Oh no, I have to reshare the screen. Sorry, there won't be any sound if I do it this way. Give me just 1 second, folks.
I'll dance for your viewing entertainment here while we wait.
Okay, here we go.
Oh, Jen dances with me. Good.
Da, 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 da. All right, here we go. Iranian propaganda, everyone. This is Iranian propaganda. Also really funny.
Oh man.
That's the first time I've seen that one.
Yeah, I didn't see that. That was something.
Well, I'm glad I showed y'all that. What are your thoughts there? Because that's a tough one.
Yeah, I just don't feel good after watching that.
No, it's I don't.
They named it. They named their sins.
Yeah, and just like notes on bombs for the and then just mass destruction. I don't know. It's sort of like
Is
America
that not the
does
same
that.
as the way we write on bombs? I mean,
Yeah, I know.
yeah,
That's the thing. That's the thing. And just like at some point, American culture is just a death culture. We let schools get shot up, you know. And it's like at some point, why don't we stop? And the money I said this before. Our rage comes in. We're not even at the point where we're enraged by a school full of kids getting blown up by our missiles. We're not even at that point. We need to get at the point where they make the bombs in the first place. Eisenhower's, what was it called? The Quest for Peace speech. Dwight D. Eisenhower. He was warning us about the military-industrial complex. Yeah. And I was like, every dollar that's spent on a bomb is taken out of, food taken from a person in need. Well, it happened. Everything that Eisenhower warned us about is here. And, I don't even know it's like you watch a video like that, you don't even know how to react. I don't even know where the satire is. That could just be the news.
And I wanted to show you all that because it's like there's feels when you watch that. Like
that was painful.
And there are parts when you watch it and you're like, okay, this is propaganda, and I do not like what they're showing. The imagery of like the White House exploding.
Mm-hmm.
That's a multiple piece imagery right there. That shows the fracturing of America. I don't want to see the White House ever explode. I don't want to see I don't want to see our country explode. But that's what they're showing us. They're showing us that our country is exploding. They're showing us that our dollar is exploding. They're showing us that when the Statue of Liberty was falling, yes, it is them blowing it up. The symbology is acts of terrorism against us. However, the secondary symbology of that is we are toppling the Statue of Liberty right now in America by ourselves. And the Iranians don't want to remove Trump from power because just like Hitler in the 30s, the Allied forces said, hey, or late 30s and 40s, when they were getting ready to when they were all in it, the Allies were like, we don't really want to remove Hitler yet because he became a liability for the Nazis. Just like Donald Trump is a liability for the US. They see him as a liability that they can take power from and destroy us from within. They want us destroyed. That's the propaganda part that I don't agree with Iran. I am not a sympathizer for the Iranian regime. No one can criticize me on that. I am not a sympathizer for the Iranian regime. I do not believe in them. They are just as violent and brutal towards their citizens as we're becoming and have been towards ours. That being said, we're doing some fucked up shit and we need to fix ourselves. And it's an interesting video to see that like those things being thrown in our faces because we write messages on bombs. Our soldiers do that. Our service members have been doing that since the beginning of bombing people. We wrote messages, I believe, on the nukes that
Yeah.
went.
They were.
Don't forget, we're the only country in the world to have ever nuked another nation.
Yeah, that was my note
Twice.
for the day. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that was not a celebration, Apple. God damn it. That's the problem with these emoticons is it celebrates at the wrong time. God damn it, Apple.
That's gallows humor there. That's
That
oh
is
god, I've got to break the tension. Yeah. What were you going to say, Jen? Go ahead.
But Nick, you made an interesting point. You said that, like at one point they didn't want to remove Hitler because it was more beneficial, obviously, to them not to. I recently read that the Dems, one of the reasons why the Dems, and I believe this, are not fighting so hard against removing Trump. Nobody's, well, not nobody, but most Democrats are not arguing for impeachment of Trump. A lot of Democrats, or some Democrats, I keep using these general words, some Democrats voted for this war.
Yep.
Gave up their war powers for this. Why? Because some Democrats, a lot of Democrats in leadership feel that Trump being in there is better for them because then everybody has to vote for the Democrats, and the Democrats don't have to change their ways that much because there's nobody else. How fucked up is that?
Yeah. Jen, I'm going to have you talk to that Kira, who's running citizens impeachment. They've got 100 candidates, and they've all pledged to impeach. And they're the ones she's actually wrote the articles because they had been discussing these articles of impeachment. The Democrats have been all upset by it, but she was the one that you've talked to her, Nick. Kira, she was the one who was involved with writing that and getting that to a congressperson. I want to add, though, too, when you're watching that video, like on the first watch, you're just sort of, you don't even know what you're watching for like the first 15, 30 seconds. And then even so even now, like having watched that video, I'm still don't even really know what I witnessed. I think it's one of those things you have to watch it a couple times and reflect on it. So that's just another thing I wanted to mention. It's like, it's kind of hard to say, but just this war culture has taken over the whole world. And at some point, I mean, where is the nation in the world that just stands for human rights at this point? I mean, Finland or something like that. And even where's the propaganda for like peace and humanity? I mean, it's hard to separate like just war propaganda from unjust war propaganda, right? It's like all things that try to justify military action ultimately end up with people getting killed. So I guess I got a lot of thoughts from that thing that I'm going to have to process for a while.
There's a whole lot in the video. I mean, if you look at one of the characters' hands, it says American grift on
I
the
saw
hand
that.
and stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, there's a lot in that little short. Yeah.
The people getting together to push the button every time, and this like destruction is how we get our just like. Why is the human race so indoctrinated to believe that the way to get justice is through destruction? I guess that's kind of a thing. And if that crosses borders, I mean, gosh, it's just a collective failure of all humanity if we believe that.
Well, one of the things, too, we like to talk about here, let's shift for just a moment. We're going to go and do our celebration of creativity and artwork here for a minute to give ourselves a break. This is why we do this, is we give ourselves a mid-show break normally where we get to cool ourselves down a little. You guys all get to see some great art. And one of the reasons, too, I showed that video is because that's really the second time I've watched it through like this and shown it. I showed it yesterday on Pal and Talk with Shane Urich, and I'm showing it, obviously, we showed it today, is like, it's important to see propaganda from other places and see what they're doing. We can use aspects of that creativity to do our own. Like Walter just said, do pro-democracy propaganda or pro-human propaganda. I don't know how to do shorts like that with Legos, but I have a shitload of Legos, and I bet you some of you out there have a shitload of Legos and know how to do frame by frame shots like that for a video, and you should do it.
It reminded me of America the Motion Picture. Did you ever see America the Motion Picture? It's this satirical. It's like based on real history. And
No.
yeah, if you get a chance, like just
Is it that Netflix show with the
Yeah,
like
it's a
roided
movie.
out like?
yeah, where like Paul Revere turns into like RoboCop.
Oh,
And
yeah,
he gets
I've
fused
heard.
with
I
his
think it's
horse.
on
He's like a
Netflix.
centaur RoboCop. They're like, but
Yeah.
they're like, but it becomes like Return of the Jedi, like King. There's a lot of Star
It's
Wars.
just
in
so
it.
ridiculous.
Well, you watch it though, and you're just sort of like, it's not that far removed from that video. It's just so bizarre. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't know whether to
Okay.
laugh or cry.
Let's have
sometimes.
some art celebration while we do this. And we do this for a
Yeah.
reason, y'all.
The
Welcome to the
doggies.
middle of the show. So we've got a little bit of cool yourself down. Walter, this one's
Yeah.
from you, my friend.
Yeah, one of my lovely readers sent some doggy pictures over for my daughter to draw, and so she did it and sent it. So this is another. It becomes, and I saved the headshot too. So there's a profile pic out there containing these two dogs, or one of them in the headshot. I just love it. I love it when my daughters do their little creative things and make these happy. What I needed to look at a dog right now. Oh, thank God. This is a dog. It just takes the sadness out of you. So I appreciate that. Whether it's cartoon or real, needed it. Good. Let's get back into the fight.
Thanks, Walter. I'm glad you sent this one today.
That's very cute. It's
let's
very
go.
good.
Yeah, she does. She loves just sketching them out. I love the quick capturing with just a few lines. It's okay. So Amber says she revealed herself. Amber, my babies. You can see the whole profile picture there because she was in the chat. But yeah, when you can capture their emotion and their personality and just an economy of lines, I think that's just lovely. That's the way to remember our humanity. Pictures of cute doggies. Let's just make propaganda videos of those.
I love it.
Mm.
I may have to give you my dogs for her to draw.
Nice.
Because
Yeah,
I've got 3 puppies that I would love to have pictures of.
Portraits.
My daughter used to when she was little. So one of my dogs we've had since my daughter was a year old. They've grown up together, and he's older now. And he's always been sort of her protector, but she used to draw him as a superhero called
nice.
Kilo the Key. And he would wear a mask, and he would have like superhero cape, and like it was. She's an artist herself now, and she does she just draws all the time. And I normally display her artwork too, but today I decided I wanted to showcase a piece from Steph Wilson. Hopefully, Steph, you're here. If not, I hope you see this later, so that because you'll get tagged in it too. But like she used to draw dogs, and I love it. But hers aren't as like realism. She likes more anime and like cartoony. And the realism.
The expressions are beautiful, and because like a lot of my daughter is contained in the picture of this dog, and it's like I can see it, and I just think that's lovely. How other people see things tells us so much about them, and that's just a wonderful thing to take note of every now and then.
Thinking about that, let's see what we have. Which one we have next? Oh, this is from our friend Jason Gale in the audience who loves doing artwork pieces for all of us.
Stuff is great.
This one's our friend Shane Urich.
Nice.
He sent it to me this weekend, and he asked, "How do I submit artwork to Notes of the Week?" And I said, "You just did." And here it is. So Jason, thanks again for another incredible piece of art, because I love all the drawings that you do of us. It's fun to see. And you captured Shane really well.
Yeah.
I think that's a really great portrait of him.
He does a good job with the backgrounds too, bringing that in. And it's just like it's interesting how the backgrounds add to the character. Because mine he did one of me that's got my scrawls on my whiteboard. And I'm like, yep, that's kind of the way the inside of my brain looks. Just random stuff scribbled out illegibly. Yeah.
I like the way the hair is done. I mean, there's a lot of detail in the hair and the hat. There's a lot of lines. And that is very cool. But yeah, I recognize him immediately. It's very good.
Yeah, it's a great piece of art. Thanks, Jason, again for another. It's one of those things like you were, Walter, you were just talking about, is how other people see the world and express it through their creativity. Yeah. And Jason has captured all of us really well. And has a really cool style. Like the shading right around Shane's eyes too. Like the depth you see in his eyes, and you can see like the out of focus a little bit on the glasses on the side where it's microscoped in because it's lensed a little. That's really good, man. Like,
That is really
you're
good.
a great artist, dude. Keep it up, brother.
Yeah, and whenever he does anybody I know, it makes me happy. Whenever I see that coming through the feed, and it's like, oh, there's another one of my creator friends and some art, and it makes me feel like we're all so appreciated, and it's
Yeah.
so important. It gives me energy. It restores
Yeah.
my energy, like few things do these days. Everything sucks the energy out of me. So thank you. Keep those pictures coming.
Thanks, Jason. I appreciate it, my friend. And finally, this one I'm so excited to showcase is a painting
Oh,
by
love
Steph
it.
Wilson.
Nice. I love it.
Doc Steph, good friend of mine. She's a doctor of history. She does our chronically illing out Monday morning show with us. This was a peacock she drew or painted, and
Love it.
I like
beautiful.
Yeah. Oh, that
I've been holding on to this one for a while to showcase. So, Steph, I hope you like it.
That would make a
Thanks
great
for sending
jigsaw
this.
puzzle too. I
Yeah,
like to do
oh,
jigsaw
man.
puzzles.
Yeah, that would be
kind of
so
calms me
cool.
down. Yeah. So, but it would make a great jigsaw puzzle. That would be very difficult. The way the colors change so fast. and stuff.
Yeah.
Hey, Stephanie, you should submit that for a jigsaw puzzle to get like credit so that you can get paid as a jigsaw puzzleist.
Yeah, because every time it could sell, then you get paid for that. So that would be kind of nice. But yeah, I'd buy that.
I would absolutely. Like, this would be a great like 1,000 to 2,000 piece puzzle. Like, big, really detailed, hard to do, takes you like a week to put together or longer, but like it's the one that you glue to a backboard, frame it, and hang up on your wall and never want to do again. But now you have this amazing piece of art. Yeah, it would be great on a t-shirt. I mean, I have a shop, so, and Steph has plenty of designs, and she can put stuff out. So we can talk about putting this type of stuff on like shirts or coffee mugs and things. Like, this piece of artwork on my coffee mug was submitted by one of my good friends in real life. She was like, oh, hey, I have this really great design that would go with the phrase that you said. Can I put it on something? And I was like, absolutely, you can. I love having artwork from friends. And now I have a coffee mug and hoodie that has her really cool skull, and now so you can grow on it. Like, and it's give us all your creativity, folks. Spread it out there. Because like we were talking about earlier with the South Park thing, like creativity, parody, art, humor, joy, that's the thing that helps us stay fueled, so that while we're doing all the shitty parts of it, like while we're raking through the muck, we actually have something to look forward to and hang on to.
Yep. The right has their AI generated garbage, and we've got like real human stuff like this. And it's because of this that they always attack diversity, and they attack art programs, and they attack humanities, because this stirs something within you. You see something like this, and it's like of human origin. And now you don't feel alone. When you look at AI, there's no soul there, and it's just they want you in that state of eroding our humanity, and they do it deliberately like Jen was saying, indoctrination from earliest grades, where they kind of erode your compassion, they erode your humanity. They take books, they want to censor books, they want to stop art. So this is one of the most powerful ways we can push back, and it's beautiful because we can share and celebrate each other. So I appreciate that you made space for that here, Nick. That's been wonderful.
Thanks, Walter. And yeah, like I love this piece. It
is beautiful.
I just love this piece. I now want to talk to Steph about getting it onto a puzzle as soon as we can, because I like making puzzles and my wife likes making puzzles. And I think this would be amazing. Or even as like a embroidery set.
We got to have a paint party. We got to have a subset creators paint. We should just do that one time. Like you and I just sit here and put our cameras down our artwork and just talk over it. Gen 2. We can just sit here and paint something.
I mean, my computer does like desktop mode. Like the camera can look down at my desktop. So we could just sit here and do like Bob Ross style, like days of just drawing.
Let me tell you a quick story.
I
did this story. My daughter invited me because the school occasionally would do this. They would have like an art day, and everybody was supposed to go there and paint this picture that they had. So I was sitting there with my daughter, and rather than like everybody else did the same picture, I did this picture of a rhinoceros instead. I'm just sitting there drawing this rhinoceros picture. And it was just funny because people were walking around later. It's like, you know, it's like a uniform picture of like people out in the snow, every one of them. And then mine was like this green rhinoceros. It was like, wow, though. But it was like, it made everybody so excited. My daughter did something different too. She did like this lion's head, you know. So we were the only two. I'm like, you can do whatever the hell you want. We don't have to do this. They got the paints. Let's be creative. And it was so fun because people were talking to us. And that's one of my really happy memories. I have the painting over the wall over there. I'll get it next time. Maybe I'll bring that in for an art next time, or I can.
There you go. There you go.
Paint with your family.
Yeah. Paint with your family. Paint, do jigsaw puzzles, listen to music. I mean, I just don't even watch the news most of the time anymore. Gosh. I'm reading the news. Most of the time I have music on. So. I put on Godzilla the other day. I'm just like, because I'm like, everybody was like only half engaged. I'm like, we're just gonna watch this, and I'm just like, because you don't have to watch it. You just every now and then you glance up, and Godzilla's like blowing fire into some monster's face. You're like, yeah. Then you're like, go back to doing other things. So,
yeah. My wife and I are listening through an Audible book series called Dungeon Crawler Carl. It's the author wrote it, I think, during COVID, and you can tell he's sort of like went through a Bo Burnham and lost it in the isolation. But the books are really good, and the author tends to stay. I looked him up because I wanted to know about the creativity I was listening to and like what his political views might be about. It's weird that I have to do that nowadays, but I wanted to check and make sure he wasn't a racist or a rapist. And he tends, from what I've seen, is he tends to stay completely out of the spotlight. There have been some things about his books that people associate either direction, but he has pushed back publicly at least once, calling someone like an edgelord douche. And so I was like, okay, he's at least calling out the edgelords, so he knows what he's saying and the topics that he's talking about. So the Dungeon Crawler Carl series it's an ongoing series right now. There's a couple more books coming out, but it basically is talking about slavery and Nazism and authoritarianism taking over. There's an this alien conglomerate of corporations basically seize Earth because we are just a resource to them. And if you are outside when they seized Earth, you were alive because everything that was inside a building or under a cover got crushed immediately and then like moved somewhere else. Then they open up this dungeon. It's a world dungeon, and it's 18 floors deep of dungeon where it's sort of like Dungeons and Dragons and like these dungeon crawler style things where you level up. It's a lit RPG. So it's about the leveling up. It's the powering up. They're going through harder quests but there's some very blatant in the beginning references in the first book where you can really tell this guy does not quite like ice. The thing or authoritarianism in general, because one of the initial main villainous characters of the leftover humans, because of the leftover humans, you get to choose to go into the dungeon or stay on the surface. And if you go into the dungeon, you get to participate. If on the surface, eventually you might get hunted by aliens. So good fucking luck. There's no technology. You're on your own. But these people that go in, one of them, like two of them are ICE agents, and they were on a raid, and they talk about how they kill certain people because they were foreign drug traffickers or human traffickers. And you can tell he does not appreciate the ICE agents. And he talks about like the government system and resistance against the government system, which is basically what they would describe as a mix of World War II Japanese empire with a splash of Nazism. And I was like, okay, well, I get where you're coming from. They're great books fighting back against it, and it's talking about resistance. So if you want to like a good series to just have fun, it is fairly destructive. There are action sequences because we like action. That's what we do. A lot of Americans anyways like action series and stuff like that. So go listen to it. Like, it's fun. It'll get you through a couple days. It'll get you away from the news for a little while. And you can enjoy 7 or 8 books right now. The 8th one comes out in 2 months. But you can enjoy the first 7 books right now, and really fun to listen to. They are, in my opinion, a critique on authoritarianism.
What's the title again?
Dungeon Crawler Carl.
Okay, awesome.
Okay.
With C. His first name starts with a C and not a K.
Okay.
That also sometimes gives it a clue to me, is I've always noticed a lot
Yeah.
of just like to start things that
Avoid
instead of
Ks,
being a C could be a K. And
Yeah.
I've noticed that's some weird like underpinning that I'm starting to notice is the replacements of C's with K's in weird ways. Anyway.
People can submit their art on that question form too, right?
Yes. Yes.
So that's good to know.
Yeah.
Also,
so
Nick,
go ahead.
I just sent you the rhino pic. I don't know if you have time to give it, but it's in your. I sent it to your Substack in case people want to see.
Let me see if I can grab it.
It's kind of a funny rhino pic. Just. It was a little bit of a risk because I was doing this because I started doing it. It's like if this turns out bad, I was getting because everybody was giving me like the side eye for not doing the thing I was supposed to be doing, but I'm kind of used to that. Well, I'm going to show you. This is going to turn out great, you know.
It shows the difference between people who easily fall in line and others who.
Well, it's like those people get together for those like drink wine and make pictures, and it's just sort of like I never do what everybody else does. I just have it's just hardwired into me to not do what other people do.
Oh, there's my rhino. I love that. That is actually really cute. Oh my gosh, that is so cute. I love the way the green, it changes colors as you go out and gets deeper and darker. That's actually pretty good.
Thank you. They gave us tempera paint. I'm just like, oh, this better work out. So I was so happy with it. My daughter, she was just giving me the side eye too. She just sits there because she kind of observes. One of my eldest daughter is more like me and she talks and talks, but my younger one is kind of quiet and she observes. And she's sitting there and she was just kind of smiling. She was watching people react to my pictures. And I knew she was watching me. So it's just kind of fun to have that dynamic of that moment. So yeah, this was a daddy-daughter painting day. That's one of mine.
That's actually pretty
all
good.
My art's kind of like that. I like the big, happy looking thing. I guess that kind of tells you how I look at the world. I turn everything into these big, happy-eyed. Yeah. My wife says I give people too many second chances because I see people like that.
People ask you what your philosophy or ideology is. Just go.
That's fine.
Right here.
Whatever you can take from this picture, I'm perfectly happy to be judged on the basis of that picture.
There you go. I like
Walter
that.
is a happy rhinoceros. That's
good.
what I would rather have a friend who's a happy rhinoceros than a fucking grumpy ass jackass.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's just put it that way. Anyway, this was Walter. This is awesome. Thank you for sharing this.
It is awesome.
I'm so glad you shared this. We're gonna actually finally switch back to things that are a little less fun, but very important to talk about. And we have alluded to a lot of what we were going to touch on for our notes for this week. Is Jen? I'm going to share yours first because I think this one is a really important one we were talking about earlier. And we want to go back into talking about this because it's super important. Is the airport stuff and what. Outside of the organizing for immediate steps, how do we continue to, how do we move forward with this? Because the airports is a huge deal. And how do you envision this changing or needing to be like specific actions that we could take out? I know we talked a little bit about the protesting on that, but like what specific actions can we take on this?
I think one thing is to obviously, if you don't have to travel on airlines, then don't travel on airlines and try not to use airlines and starve them. At the same time, I think that just as we do in a lot of our protests, we need to make sure that we have the white faces and the white bodies being the ones voicing and saying things. You know, you look at a lot of those videos of the airports, and especially when that one woman was being arrested. I think it was it San Francisco's airport, and the last I heard, DHS was saying she had a final order of removal, but then I see other things saying no, she was a U.S. citizen. So I don't know entirely what the story is behind that. But they don't have as many agents as we have people standing in the airports.
Yes.
We have more power than they do. And they, I mean, we could actually stop this, but we're also into our own what's going on with, well, I got to catch this flight and I got to go do this and I got to go do that. And so essentially they're taking away our freedoms.
Yeah.
And they're using conveniences like to do it. So like everything, the way we're losing our freedoms is through convenience. Well, if you just do this, then you can get this. If you just give us all your info, then you can just get this. And what we see when you fight against them is then they take away those convenience things. They take away your global entries and your passports and all this other things. And so they're gonna, that's the goal of them, is as we fight back, they're going, if you fight back individually, and all three of us go to independent airports and we say something, then they'll look at saying, okay, now we're going to fight against Nick. We're going to fight, and they'll go against us. But if we all go, then it will be more difficult for them to do this. It's not going to be just about attorneys. We need attorneys filing cases and paperwork and obviously fighting that way. We need our leaders in Congress to start saying something about this. They're not saying anything about it. They're being quiet about it. They don't seem to care. And when you do talk to some of our leaders, their answer is, well, we're going to highlight the children in custody because we feel people care more about that, and that's safe for us to do for our reelections. No, primary those people out when they do that kind of stuff. We need to stand up to these people. If you notice, like we've been talking and saying, like the right wing, they have all this propaganda. We looked at the Iranian propaganda. Where is the left wing propaganda talking about peace, talking about how we can create safer systems that honor people's human rights and also don't make us commit human right violations while being safe at the same time, and trying to secure everything and have everybody have safe trips and safe lives. The reason why we don't see that is because these motherfuckers own all of the platforms. That is why we don't see it. So this whole taking of the media and stuff, just like they did in Hungary, this is all the Viktor Orban type of scenario. And so we have to demand that. We have to create that. We have to primary our leaders and say, no, we're not going to listen to this mealy mouth. No, we expect you to actually freaking do something. And it's time that we start. And people are like, well, you got to vote blue no matter who. I get that when we get to the general election. We have primaries. We have the opportunity to start pushing these people. But what I have seen internally, and I'm not going to name names, but what I have seen internally from my friends who've tried to run as progressives, tried to run as people who would offer a change to what the Democratic Party consistently gives us, which is just Republican light brutality.
Yes.
Is that they're saying, well, since you're not going to take money from AIPAC, we're not going to support you. So the Democratic Party is still pushing those people out. We saw what they just did to Jasmine Crockett.
Yep.
I believe she has a couple issues with past maybe money and stuff like that. But a lot of the progressives are just hitting walls. Yep. And we have to not just fight against the authoritarians, but we have to fight also against those in the middle who would say this is good enough. Yeah. Because it's not good enough.
I call them
blue. So Jen, when are you running for office?
Yeah.
I don't know. Vote me in. No. But it's just it's as simple as being able to say the words that need to be said, and some people are doing it. And I don't expect every congressperson to be able to hit every single topic. They have to focus on what's going on in their states and stuff. But I mean, you see the Republicans, even though they say ridiculous shit, they say what they want to say.
Yep.
And I would like to see people who are unapologetically pro-immigrant. I would like to see people who are unapologetically pro-peace. We want free trade and fair trade. We want, we want all this stuff, and we can have all this stuff. These people who keep saying that we cannot have this stuff, they're lying to us. They're
Right.
stealing our money. Donald Trump is bankrupting this country, and everybody in power is allowing this to happen.
Mhm.
The quieter that they stay, the more that they say, well, just keep going on with this same system. I mean, I don't understand why Democrats can't come out after they've killed 2 American citizens with no just cause. They're obstructing justice. They've violated the Constitution. Why can they not say abolish ICE?
Yeah.
They violated the Constitution. They violated it. I don't care if you're the Marine Corps. If you violate the Constitution, that's supposed to be the end law of all laws, right?
Well, Insurrection Act.
Yeah.
It goes back a long ways, but yeah, you're absolutely right. We got to make that move. I love you, Jen. That's perfect. What you said was just perfect. Thank you.
I want to point to a comment in our chat because I want to push back on the comment.
Right.
Because I value this type of comment, and I want to respond to the question, not push back on the comment. Sorry, let me rephrase what I'm saying. I want to respond to the question because I think it is an important question because the Constitution does guarantee the right to the Second Amendment. We do have a Second Amendment right in this country. When is it time to exercise our Second Amendment rights? I will always advocate for peaceful and patriotic means of resistance because peaceful resistance sends a much, 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 much more powerful message in the long run and the end than violence.
Yeah, it's the only thing that works.
Like Second Amendment style violence. I do not advocate for shooting each other because that leads to a civil war. That leads to a hot, outright civil war. Our whole purpose is to stop the violence. Doesn't mean we have to accept their values and their words as equal weight in the conversation. We can change the system to fix it so that we can't shoot at each other anymore as a means of discussing policy, because I think that's an outdated method of discussing things. We could be beyond weapons at this point. We don't need more weapons than people in this country. We don't need that many. People don't need to be armed to the teeth. That makes us less safe, not more safe. We've seen this over the years. We need people bold enough to just say that. We need to update the Constitution because certain amendments are out of date and they're not working anymore because they aren't good enough or strong enough to protect us. That said, I will never advocate for us shooting each other. Ever.
No.
Make sure that's clear on here, Substack and YouTube and Twitch. And I can't stream on TikTok right now because we got banned for talking about.
I used the word integrity.
He used the word integrity around elections, and they didn't like that, and we got banned for that on TikTok.
I got
my first ever ban, policy violation and ban. I even took the training, and I still can't get back on here specifically with this show. They didn't let me do it.
It's only a matter of time.
But whatever.
I think what's interesting when I look at talking about Second Amendment rights and when do we get to that point kind of defending ourselves kind of like that? I think that's a discussion maybe for it's a big discussion, let me put it that way. But I want to say what I think I see starting to happen, especially with the National Presidential Security Memo number 7, where he designated people such as myself who have extreme views on gender, LGBTQ rights, on immigration and so forth are now domestic terrorists and so forth. What we need to understand is what they've done is they've labeled people with liberal or progressive views or alternative views, anti-Christian views, whatever. When he put out that memo, though, Nick, what they're saying, and then with the shooting of Alex Preddy and Renee Good, that memo enabled those shootings, and Mary Mar Martinez, who survived. What they enabled with that was then to see Americans using their First Amendment rights, their Second Amendment rights to carry, as is permitted in that state. What they're saying is these Americans don't get constitutional rights. So
Yeah.
that's why they took Alex Pretty's gun from him that he was legally carrying him, and then assassinated him. In my opinion, that is what they did. And what they're saying is, and you see him afterwards pointing out, oh, he had a gun on him, and Mary Martinez, oh, she had a gun on him, even though neither one ever pulled their guns, neither one did what they were accused of, and they were shot without just cause. What the government is telling you, what these agencies are telling you, is that you, dear libtard, do not have a Second Amendment right.
Yeah.
That is what they're saying. That is where this is going.
Yeah. And they're trying to strip birthright citizenship too.
Exactly.
That's they're looking at that, and that all ties into it. And then Roe v. Wade took privacy. I mean, just the erosion of
and you see, they don't want women to vote if they pass this SAVE Act.
Yeah.
A lot of women, thankfully, I never changed my name when I married. Even if you're gay, it's going to affect you if you changed your name. So I never changed my name, luckily. So it's about denying rights to the people that disagree with them. And so if you decide to go that route, the Second Amendment, they will use that to then justify them coming down even further and even harder. And that's why I often say that, just like you, Nick, that peace and peaceful protesting is the way to go. Does that mean that you're going to be killed or violated in some way? You might be, and that is going to happen. And I've had people say, well, how dare you tell us that we have to go out and risk our bodies? But I'm saying that to white people. And this is why so many of people of color, especially Black Americans, have chosen to stay home, because they know that if their bodies are out there like they were in the first Trump administration, then all they have to do is start shooting, and everybody will go, well, they protested in the wrong way.
Yeah. The pen is mightier than the sword. That's always been true. It's always been factual. Right. The illusion of this, you can't defend yourself. If 30 guys show up at your house, they're going to kill you, is what's going to happen. So let's stop exploring where our true power is. I mean, that's all been a distraction. It's all been it's the same indoctrination you mentioned earlier, Jen. This whole nonsense about defending your house. That's always been a lie.
The reason why the reason why you guys can't get back on TikTok, I can't get on TikTok, and all this. I can't even use any kind of meta thing. I can't use it at all because they restrict me. That's why I'm only on Substack, and even that's getting kind of hinky. And I'm on Ghost and YouTube. It's because of your voice.
They're scared. They want to suppress us.
They're scared of your voice. They are terrified of me.
Yes.
They are terrified of my voice, because I'm the one ex-agent that came out and said, this is how it works. This is how we do it. And what upsets me the most is a lot of the people on the side, not everybody, obviously, but a lot of people on the side who say they're on the side, like attorneys and a lot of these orgs and stuff, sometimes they end up perpetuating these systems because they're making money off of these systems. And we need to recognize that as well and say, what harm is our work doing any harm to what we're saying we're trying to fix? So that's an important thing as well. But the whole goal and what they really wanted, and this is why they started going into the streets and becoming more and more violent, is to get videos of us attacking them, so then they could justify what they're going to do. And they have not been able to get that. Even they've lied left and right, but we catch them on cameras every single time. They're lying. Yeah. That's something the immigration agencies haven't had before, because down here on the border, it's in the middle of nowhere.
Yes.
Yeah. I think what you're saying is super important there, is like, we have to continue to film, and we have to be the ones out there doing it. And we have to be the ones asking ourselves and others who look like us to do it. But in this age, is we have cameras. We have fucking cameras everywhere. The difference between Nazi Germany or or even the Civil War is we have cameras everywhere now. Everybody has one in their pocket. And if you're not filming when you're going in through the airport and you see ICE agents, pull your camera out, film them. You have the right to do that as an American citizen, as someone on American soil and an American citizen. You have the right to film a federal agent. You can sit there and just film them.
live stream it even
You can
better so
live
that
stream it.
the video's
Even
out
if
there.
nothing's going on, you can erase it later if nothing happens or it's just nothing or whatever. And I would go so far as to say you have a duty to do it right now with where we are at, simply
Yeah.
because we had a duty to do it before, but obviously a lot of us didn't know the extent that this was going on. And I will accept that everybody comes to this in their own way, and we meet people where they are. Like I came from the Border Patrol,
Well said, Jen.
obviously had to go through a different route and this and that. But we need to start, like, even in my own chosen family, like my wife and I, we went to the King's protest. I know a lot of people feel it's performative. A lot of protest is performative, and all of it matters. All of it together matters. So whatever you can do is what matters. But like a lot of people in my chosen family, they didn't have time to go, or they're busy with other things. You know, in today's world, the streaming, you can be all involved in your own little world, following Desperate Housewives or whatever you're watching, whatever stuff you're watching, whatever cop show you're watching, and not really know a lot of what's going on in America. And I think that's one of the areas where we're really missing people, is how to get people really involved. I think people just can do this, and some do it for health reasons. I get it, mental health reasons and stuff. But we just need to try and get everybody involved in some way. You don't have to do everything. But if you can pick a couple of things that you can contribute to or that you can go to, that makes all the difference in the world. So,
yeah, and just to make sure, there are certain places in the airport you cannot record in due to policy.
Yeah.
However, when you're walking down the airport, down the causeways and through the different terminal points, you can record. You could also buy a body cam.
Yeah.
Yep.
Citizens are allowed to buy inexpensive body cams. And if you don't want to have your camera in your hand all the time, buy a GoPro or something like that and just put it there.
That's accountability. A video is accountability.
Yeah, if they want to use the tool, it's another one of those things. If the tools are available, we should use them. Use them for good. Use them strongly, and then regulate the fuck out of them so we can't ever have anyone use them in harmful ways again. Like abuse the system in the good way. Like that's what FDR did. Do you like the civil rights and the movement towards the second Bill of Rights and a progressive movement didn't follow traditional constitutional norms? Do you think we followed traditional constitutional norms right after the Civil War? No, we forced people to do shit. We came in and we did it, and by the end, yes, it was violent in the Civil War, but we have gone through non-violent means of progressing forward. We just need to latch onto that. And one of those is my note here is if your personal religious beliefs make you a kinder, more caring, and more loving human being, then you're doing it right. What I'm trying to say here is if your personal religious beliefs make you just a good person, go fucking express that everywhere. Talk about it. Because guess what? Right now, all Christians are bad. Until you prove yourself as a Christian that's not going to send me to a concentration camp because I have a Star of David and I'm Jewish, and then I'm considered a race traitor. Shane Urich got called a race traitor yesterday.
Oh boy. Yeah.
And you know what? I'm proud of him. I'm proud of him for it, because that's a fucking accomplishment. Because that means he's doing it right. It's not a religious thing he's doing, but if you have those religious beliefs, personal beliefs, because I don't like the institution of religion. I don't care about religion itself. If God makes you better, or gods, or whatever you believe in, the pantheon that you believe in makes you a better individual and better human being, great. But if it makes you more hateful and selfish, like Christian nationalism and the indoctrination that we're seeing in things like TPUSA coming into Arkansas and putting in chapters in every one of our schools, and then having the University of Arkansas go, nah, fuck off. And kick TPUSA off campus. The University of Arkansas kick TPUSA off campus.
That's
Our
crazy.
state university. We are a conservative fucking state. But Fayetteville, where the University of Arkansas is not. They are a progressive area. They stand up for their values. They are standing up very strongly when other universities are saying, it's just easier to give in. They said, no, we don't want your chapter. One, I won't give them all of the credit because they still had that chapter there. They were allowing it to happen for all these years. They were okay with it while it was run by Charlie Kirk. They're not okay with it because it's run by Erica Kirk.
Yeah.
Because
Well, whatever it takes,
she
right?
ain't got a dick between her legs.
Yeah.
The truth is she doesn't have a penis.
Yeah.
And that's her problem.
Yeah.
And if her husband was still here, they probably wouldn't have had the same response to it, but they don't like the way that she's now running it or the direction that it's going. At the same time, good for them for getting it off campus because now their students will not be indoctrinated by those personal fucking religious beliefs that make you hateful and selfish. Keep that shit to yourself. It's like a penis in public. Every man has one, but no one wants to see it.
It's true.
Thanks for the cover.
Sorry. Sorry, not sorry.
I say that as a lesbian. That is very true.
See this perfect crowd for it. No one here wants to see
Nobody wants
penis
to
just
see
flopping in the wind. Nobody anywhere really wants unless you're at a nudist beach or a nudist colony, and then you're expecting it and you want to see that sort of thing. But nobody
you're at a
wants to
gay
just
man's
see
club,
that.
maybe you might want to see it. But,
Like if it's where it's appropriate, cool. But ain't nobody want to see it just hanging around, and it probably ain't that big, dude. Like you all suffer from micro ego syndrome anyway, so it probably ain't all that big. Just saying, just like your religion, it ain't all that big, and nobody wants to hear about it.
Let me make one quick point too. And when I was talking about citizens impeachment, they emphasize the importance of writing these letters to editor. If you've got a child at university, write to them and tell them you don't want Turning Point on the campus. That makes a big, big difference. If they're getting hundreds, I mean, your letter doesn't seem like much, but write those letters, everybody. Write those letters to your local paper. Name your representatives that are failing you by name in these papers. They don't like that media. That's where the battle is, and don't put yourself in harm's way. Sit in the comfort of your own home, writing letters, be loud, make it so they can't ignore you.
I think a lot of people because I come back to the No Kings criticisms, and I understand that, and people will say, oh, letter writing, it's not going to do any good, and this isn't going to do any good. And it's like, I think a lot of times those people are just trying to push us all into violence.
Right.
So it's easy to sit on a keyboard and say, well, this isn't going to do it. I actually have people who write to me all the time and say, you writing things on Substack isn't going to change anything.
Yeah.
It's like, that may be true, but who got the critical incident teams known to everybody? And don't tell me I haven't made a difference.
Yeah.
It does make a difference. And everybody has their little part to do. And so this judging constantly of each other of whether we are doing enough or not doing enough, just get out and do shit.
And I always turn it on them and I say, okay, suggest something that I should be doing then. Because when it's really easy to criticize, when you turn it and say, okay, you tell me what to do then, and I'll do it. And if they can't say anything, then you say, then go down and sit and think of something. And while you're thinking something better, I'm going to continue to do what I'm comfortable doing right now. And then when you have a productive, constructive thing to say, come again. Until then, shut up.
And the things that we're providing, quite honestly, what Substack has become, and it's the reason why it's getting kind of hinky now, so they're attacking it, is we're doing what we feel the media should have done all these years.
Yes.
Who do you think the New York Times calls whenever they have an immigration story, when a lot of them have an immigration story?
Yeah.
They call them me.
Mm-hmm.
Because I have all the data and I have all that stuff. You don't see my name in all of these reports, but they're calling us because they're not doing any of this work. They don't know shit of what's going on. They're just putting out a story for a click.
Yes.
That's all it is.
I think it's you said something too really important there, is they're not crediting you for these things. That's huge. You're not the first person to say a big media or a big publication or something is not crediting correctly on their sources. I saw Kate Justice put out a note yesterday saying the other day saying she didn't get credited on something by a large publication for the work that she's been doing, working her ass off for. It makes a fucking difference.
Yes.
Even it's unfortunate that you're not getting credited, because that's lazy journalism and that's improper writing, and you should feel bad about you should feel bad about yourself.
It's deliberate suppression of us because they're afraid of us. And this is just, I have to say it because we need to get paid. And everybody just really, you have to be deliberate. They try to silence voices like ours please revoke your support for the millionaires out there who just steal our work. And please help us keep doing this, because this is where the fight is. The fight is absolutely here. It's peaceful. It's our voice. It's this message that they try to suppress. They try, and like Jen says, it gets wonky. All these platforms, you get to a certain level and it starts getting wonky. But if the people rise up and they support people like us instead of the status quo messaging out there, we'll start getting more and more and we are still growing. Even though it has slowed down, I was getting exponential growth. I'm still growing, though, because this is the message people want. So just make that deliberate choice, everybody. I understand people are against the wall with economic terrorism. I'm not trying to shame anybody into that. But if it becomes, oh, I'm going to support this guy worth $5 or $10 million, or one of us three, please pick us instead. We're the canaries in the coal mine, and your money goes a lot farther with us than it does with those millionaires who never respond to you. So.
It's interesting when you see the media now and you see like MS Now, who sometimes I advise anchors on privately and stuff like that. It's like where they are is like where I was like 5 years ago. The stuff that they're reporting on, I've already gone through and proven that ICE and all them are brutal and all the rape culture and blah, 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 blah. And it's just like, and I'm moving on to how do we change the system? How do we do more macro level stuff? How do we change the policies? Because they're not doing it. So I'm just going to freaking do it. And that was my attitude years ago. I'm going to talk about all these rapists. I'm going to talk about the sit teams. I'm going to talk about all this stuff. And now you see people like Todd Miller. So Todd Miller is a border guy. He's with Border Chronicle, really great writer. He's done a lot of border books, and I really respect his work a lot. And we did an interview with a radio station in San Francisco who ended up saying that they lost the interview, and so they censored it and wouldn't put it out. And and what saddened me the most was that he said my work for writers like him who've been around longer than I have was instrumental in letting them see into the agency and see the truth of the agency, and has reshaped how people write about the border. And I love it. I love that they are starting to do this. Like you see Garrett Graff talking about the fact that agents are committing more violent crimes than the people they arrest every year. I was originally writing about that years ago, and he added to it and he did his own thing. And so that kind of thing makes me happy to influence them. And then I can feel like I can move on to other things while they're doing that stuff.
We're pushing the Overton window. That's our job. We're at the edge of it. So
there's a million problems for a million people to address, and we have we have more than enough voices to do it. The space is wide enough for all of us. We need to stop self-consolidating into these major corporations that aren't doing anything. Like
they're just stealing from us anyway.
And they're just bringing people over from previous industry. The old media system itself failed. That means
they got the parking brake on our activism.
A majority of journalists and a majority of folks who were in the system didn't push back enough while they were there. They didn't do their job and so why should I expect them to do their job now?
Plus they got millions. They're sitting on millions.
And they have enough money.
And that's why I don't work for other journalists. I mean, I've been asked by the Cato Institute to work for them and get paid. I've been asked by other organizations. I'm like, no.
Good.
So good for you.
I don't make much money, but
none of us.
I'm independent.
And what we call we like to say it is new media. The old media, there's old media,
complicit media.
There's
new media,
independent media, which is Midas Touch and others that are really larger publications. They're independent from old media, but they're consuming the resources that old media was
and they
providing.
Still gatekeep. They gatekeep like crazy. Even
they don't bring us on to talk, do they?
MSNBC that I used to be on their show are now on Substack, but they don't interview me.
We're good enough to have our work stolen, but we don't get any credit. We don't get any interviews. So that's kind of where that is. So,
maybe we're not pretty enough or camera ready enough. I don't know what to do with.
You're pretty enough. I'm pretty enough. Walter's pretty. I think we're pretty enough.
We're
I
all pretty
call
enough. I think so.
We should do a
my
calendar.
wife likes to remind me that I'm beautiful sometimes.
There you
So
go.
I think this panel is all beautiful.
I look
We
like a
are.
happy
Everyone in
little
the audience is.
rhinoceros. Yeah, that's what I
Yeah,
look like.
Walter's
Happy
Walter's new
rhinoceros.
spirit animal is the happy green rhinoceros. And that made me so happy. And Walter, we're going to shift to your note finally for the last one of the day. And this one is important because I think this goes into breaking the indoctrination and talking about it. And Walter, love for you to read what your
let me just read it. This was weird. I don't know how to feel about this, but I've just said, me to my kids, there's only one country in human history to ever drop a nuclear bomb on civilians. That country is the USA. My daughter's response, well, who else would it be, Dad? Just like, and I guess I don't know how to think about that even. Like, who else would it be? And it's sort of like, I guess maybe I should feel hopeful because they're seeing through the bullshit already. You know, this is my younger one in 7th grade. It's like, of course it was the United States who did that. So, and I guess maybe that's something we need to always remember. I mean, and they've got all the money, they got the guns and the money, but we got the numbers and we got the truth. And no matter how much they spend, they can't make the truth not be the truth anymore. No matter how many books they burn, those things still happened. And we'll be able, the article I wrote today, you can find the truth. The evidence is the negative space of what they've destroyed. It's like, that's where compassion is. We know it should be there. We are all scientists. We have curious minds. We can deduce the existence of better things that have been stolen from us. And I think my daughter shows in this. She's like, of course, that's what it is. And it's just, that's like a seed. That's the seed of change. Because every human being knows this already, and they're waiting. They're tired of things. That's why everybody has moved away from the legacy media, and they're coming to find people. All the wonderful people here today, 540 of you watching, you all know it. We came here not knowing why we came here. I started talking with Nick. I don't know who Nick is. I just feel better talking to Nick. Let's work on this for 2 years. And every time I hear Jenn, it's like she speaks truth. I don't fully understand it. Her experience is different than mine, but it's true, and I want to know more. And you don't have to spend too much time listening to legacy media again. It's like, oh, there's that familiar old lie. And that's what my daughter references there. Well, who else would it be? Because everything they say is always a lie. So that inherent part of us will never change, and that can never be extinguished. And that's why we're going to win. Get rolling there.
I like it. Walter, I love it. Snaps.
Feel empowered. Let's end on a high note. Yeah.
Snaps all around. Circle snaps. Back to music.
It's not doing
snaps.
it. Yeah. Where's my celebration?
We need to do more like, you know what I would like to see, and maybe it happens in bigger cities. Maybe it's happening here in San Diego, and I'm not aware of it because it's a different generational thing. But like, maybe open mic nights where we just get up, and you don't have to necessarily do. I mean, you do whatever you want, but you could also get up there and go, like, just talk on a subject where you're like, da, 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 and I think, God, just getting together more as community, having people together, and I say all the time, one of the great things Trump has done is he's teaching white Americans how important community is. And we're understanding how this independent, just me and my family can make it on our own and everybody's on their own. It's really changing the dynamics with, I think, a lot of people in our American communities and understanding how important that is. So. Yeah.
We've reached out to so many people. I mean, I wouldn't have talked to you, Jenn or Nick. We wouldn't be having this conversation. And that's been the silver lining. I've reached out to so many people, just that impulse. Like, I need to talk to this person, this name I've seen on articles for all these years. Let's talk. Mm-hmm. And then you just feel so much better, And I think you're right. Like an anti-fascism poetry reading in the park. How hard would that be to organize? And you don't even have to mention the regime. Just mention, brutalizing people and all these things. You can be subtle. Writers have been hiding their true message for as long as people have been writing. That's the whole art in it. So yeah, absolutely. I think that's beautiful. Community is always going to win.
Yeah.
I totally agree on that. Like that's what we do on most of this is try and build community. Like we encourage you guys in the chat to be our community. Like I've made so many friends out of these discussions, both in just those, you come back every day, every week. We have folks who are here every week who have seen us for 6-7 months now, who just listen into us and find what we're talking about. And I hope you're better for it. I hope you have taken some of the lessons that we have taught and you talk about the things that we do here with your family or your friends, or you bring it out into the community itself at large. Maybe nowadays we've encouraged you to sit outside with a piece of music or a
Yeah.
instrument and just play, because
Yeah.
that fills your community with noise for free,
Yeah.
with positive noise, with music. If you know how to play an instrument, just sit out. It's getting nice again. It's
Yeah.
springtime. Go outside, sit outside with an instrument and just play it. If you've got a harmonica, go play your harmonica outside. What are they
Chalk on
going
the
to? What
sidewalk.
is somebody do? Yeah, go draw chalk. We have somebody in our neighborhood who
Whew.
roller skates around and draws chalk on. He's retired. He goes
Nice.
around and he draws chalk, beautiful chalk artwork
Wow.
all around the area. Like the
Nice.
school,
Take some pictures.
school has artwork, has chalk work that he's done. Yeah, I'll try and take some pictures of it. It's really cool to see, and it's positive, and it's
Makes
just
you happy.
positive messages, and it makes you happy. It makes things suck less, because part of what we're doing is you just need to suck less. Like, just suck fucking less. The fact that you can order these on the
All
Sick
right,
of
I
the
made me
Shop. So
smart.
go to shop.sickoftheshitpublications.com and just suck less.
That's joy. I love it. I love it. I love it.
Oh, we love joy here. This is where the joy, like,
We completely
joy
lost
pops
Natasha
out
the
here.
other day. That was funny. She just
Oh,
had
yeah,
the black on her screen.
We broke Natasha K for a while. Yeah,
I did that
last
to
week.
Nick a couple weeks ago too, where Nick just quit. It was funny.
Yeah, I had to.
I
Quit
was
for a
worried
little
about
bit.
it. I had to apologize. I'm like, I'm sorry. And he's like, oh.
It's important to do this, and I know it feels like, in times when we're like this, you think back to the 40s and stuff, people still laughed, people still got
Mhm.
together and had
It's the
dinner.
gallows humor. Yep.
People,
we gotta
yeah,
do.
and you
Pressure
have to
valve.
do that. It's how you get through this. It's how you learn to focus on things. It's how you I have weeks where I'm like, you won't hear from me, and I'm like, ugh.
Pressure release. Yeah.
It's
Mhm.
just,
Oh, hi,
but
Walter's face.
there you go. But it's important to do that. It's important to give yourself a little bit of levity if you can, if you're not stuck in a cell somewhere. Obviously, there are some of us who are facing dire consequences, but that will give you the energy to go on. That'll give you, especially in talking to people, it'll tell you what you want to fight for. It'll give you the strength.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So, Jen, with those last words, promote yourself. Promote the work that you're doing. How people can find you too is, your work is incredible,
Oh,
and
thanks.
I think it has brought to light a lot of things a lot of us have been thinking are going on, but didn't have the knowledge, firsthand knowledge, that they were, and we
Yeah.
were afraid that they were going on. And it's so glad that you are here exposing it, and telling people about it, because we need it. Like, we need to know this. So how can people find and support the work you're doing so that you can remain independent and can continue putting out really high quality information for people?
I appreciate that. So my Substack and my podcast is all called Borderland Talk. And you can find me on Substack. You can find me on Ghost, which is another writing platform if you don't like Substack. And it does not do algorithms. And then also on YouTube, my book Against the Wall is available everywhere. I did the Audible on that. It's also available on bookshop.org, I think it is. If you need to reach me, you can reach me at Jenn Budd, JENNBUDD.net. That's how you can connect or send me something on Substack. I'm also on Blue Sky, but I'm not on there that much. So, yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, Jen. And
Thank
please
you.
become a paid subscriber or free subscriber if you cannot afford it. Both are really helpful. But one of the biggest things you can do outside of just subscribing is, I know it's algorithmic and it sucks, is like, share, restack, because that gets more attention to the work, so that maybe we can start forcing people to actually credit Jen for the work and the information she's providing, and remind people that plagiarism is a crime too. And you shouldn't be plagiarizing other people. But at the moment, at least it's getting conversations moving,
That's all that
which is a
matters.
start.
Yeah.
Which is a start. So let's get those conversations rolling, because we we fucking need all of them. We need these strong conversations happening. So thank you so much for being with us, Jenn. I really appreciate it.
Thank
Walter,
you.
promote yourself, my friend,
Awesome.
before we go.
And I just want to say, make sure you get a copy of Jenn's book and write a review. And if you tag me and if you tag Jenn, I will restack it. So that'll be a way to get visibility for your Substack. Please just do that. There's no greater thing. There's no greater sign of appreciation than to write a review about a book that somebody has written. We love it. Authors, you will become an author's pinky friend forever if you do that. So please do that. I love reading too the responses to these talks. You guys teach so much. The insights from the comments. Our two wonderful guests had me stimulated, so I didn't get to read them as much as usual. But if something came up, tag us in a response. We are the digital think tank. We're growing all the time. It's all part of you guys. So yeah, please, we want to hear it. We want to do everything we can to help. And as always, make the choice to support the smaller creators such as us that are really trying to work to push the Overton window to the left where we need it to be. And you see the evidence of our work 5 years later when some of the stuff we were talking about then, starts to become normalized. That's super important. And it's empowering to know how we do change things, because above all else, these authoritarian systems want to make us think we have no other resource. And the fact is we have so much more power, and they are afraid of us. They're afraid of us all the time. We just have to keep speaking. It happens slowly. It's like erosion, but you take away the foundations and the oppressive structure tumbles. And that's inevitable. So we're going to win. So thank you for your support. Thank you guys. I'm going to be talking to you more, Jenn. I got to get you talking with all these candidates. I know. I'll be better about that. I'll do it. I've just got so much on my plate right now.
You're going to say my name and they're going to go,
Nope.
They're going to run away.
No, these ones won't. I'm meeting.
Jenn, let's talk.
Yeah, I think, and these are the connections that are amazing. Like Walter has introduced me to the candidate network that I can talk to. I'm meeting with one of them on Fridays so that we can set up some interviews and have candidate interviews. I think they're important, and having us on the new media sphere, be able to get these interviews with real candidates and real people who are running, that's way more important than if a cable news network got them. Because fuck cable news networks. They suck. They're going to suppress that. And they're not going to ask good questions either. They're not going to ask hard questions.
They're going to give them at the best 2 to 3 minutes. And you just really cannot have these kinds of conversations in that format. So
yeah. Whereas Walter and I will give you an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. You want the whole fucking day to talk to me? I'll spend 8 hours sitting here talking to you as long as I can have some breaks and do some things that I need, get more coffee, eat some lunch, have a sandwich while we're doing it, whatever it may be. I'll talk to you all day. If you're a candidate, come ask for an interview and I'll give you the whole freaking day if I've got time.
If you're a candidate and you want to understand the truth about these agencies, I'd gladly talk to you.
Awesome.
Privately.
Hell yeah. And if I get candidates on that want to talk about this, and Jenn, if you're in the audience and you're available at times too and want to get pulled in on stuff, I am glad to have you anytime you want for interviews, because these are so important to discuss. And I'll keep reaching out to you because this stuff is all really, I want to make sure that we have policy at the end of all of this. And Walter, you too, I've got some ideas I want to talk to you about also. So go support Walter because he's so freaking important too. He's helped teach me a lot of really good stuff.
Mutual.
And his creativity is amazing, and I love seeing all the artwork from his daughters. They make me so happy. My profile picture is one from his daughter, so it makes me really happy. So go support my friend. And then finally, come support me here at Sick of This Shit Publications. It's where we're doing all these conversations, unapologetically progressive values, because I believe that pro-life means that people matter and you have dignity just because you exist, and you should be here just because you exist, and I don't want to take that away from you. Come join me here at Sick of This Shit Publications. We're taking on masculinity. We're breaking down the manosphere because it sucks. We like to remind men, just suck less, which means... And go visit the shop.sickofthishitpublications.com and go get your own 32-ounce water bottle, because you can go to the airport with these TSA compliant 32-ounce sippy top water bottles, metal water bottles, and you can just walk around and film yourself or film the ICE agents nearby them, reminding them to just suck less, because it makes fun of them. Make them feel little. Remind them that this water bottle is bigger than anything that they have ever had in their life or seen.
I want to leave everybody with. Everyone asks, what can you say to ICE agents? I would personally say, and maybe I need to put out a water bottle that says ICE protects pedophiles, because they're protecting pedophiles right now.
Yeah.
That's what they're doing.
I can
So
make a variant of
CBP
this
and
water
Border
bottle.
Patrol and all of them, when you see
Yeah.
them, be like, how's it feel to be protecting a group of pedophiles? That's all you
Yeah.
guys are. And you just need to make that clear, because that's what they're doing.
Yeah.
And when,
Yeah.
they're protecting, they're
let's talk
answering
about
the
that, Jenn.
illegal orders of a pedo. So
Yeah, we
Yeah.
should be blatant and blunt about
Blatant.
this stuff, and
Yep.
we talk about it a lot. And maybe I want to bring maybe on another conversation, Jenn, I want to talk about billboards and
Okay.
what your thoughts are on maybe putting up billboards in locations that just say your rep is protecting a pedophile.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And what effectiveness might look like, because
Yeah.
out of the box thinking is going to win this.
Yeah.
Yep.
And we need to be a little out of the box. So thanks, everyone. We're doing out of the box thinking here at Sick of This Shit Publications with my friend Walter Rhein, our great guest Jenn Budd, and I'm Nick Paro, not your dad. This has been Notes of the Week, and as we always say, friends, at the end of our shows, is we're done being sick of this shit. Now it's time to do this shit. So let's get out there and do it.